Hey, I wanted to talk to you today about overreaction to triggers on your walks with your dogs. So, the last couple of days, as of last Friday and then today, I had some mini training sessions based on the free mini course that I have out there about walking without pulling. Now, when I spoke with the pet parents in both the session on Friday and today, one of them was in person in the Costa Mesa area, and the second was online. And I had people from different parts of the country coming to join me. So the theme that I'm hearing from you all is, yeah, it's all well and good what I'm sharing about, using a positive interrupter to help your dog disengage from the environment on your walks, so they can pay attention to you and hang out with you, right? Check in with you, and so that helps you have a much easier walk with your dog. But for some dogs, they can do that fine for here and there bits, um, not bits, but what happens is there are some triggers that are way too hard for them. And for some dogs, seems like there's a lot of triggers and that they may not be comfortable in the environment that they live in. So I talked to them about, helping them dog uh, get desensitized from the triggers in their environment because they are just overreacting to it rather than just being, maybe some excitement or maybe some worry, and maybe they may bark at it or want to go, go check it out. But the positive interrupter in some cases may not work because they are just over the top. So I talked to the pet parents about, um, setting their dog up for success. And what does that mean? So first of all, identifying, what kind of things worry their dogs to access. And one of them was like, moving cars. Another one was other dogs, um, and birds, and and the theme I hear is probably moving things. It seems to be a big trigger for a lot of the dogs. So I want to ask you all, who else has dogs that may be over the top? And you need to maybe help them desensitize from the environment. Basically, desensitizing, what I mean is basically they deem the things in the environment, as not important. It's none of their business kind of thing. So what I ask them to do is work with their dog, using the positive interrupter and the check-ins, and um, be in a location without walking and watch the world go by and help their dog learn that that thing over there is not so scary or not so exciting. So the things you need to consider in order to help your dog succeed is the distance from that trigger. You have to figure out what distance is the right distance where they can actually think and disengage when you call their name or use a positive interrupter, right? And so other things we talked about is maybe, if things get a little bit over the top, um, what do they do to move away from something, right? Um, Maybe even if you're stationary, if something comes across and it's just too much for your dog, what do you do? How can you escape, right? So those are things we talked about too. And then lastly, using some of the environment, like for example, minimizing the visual. I mean, obviously the dog knows that trigger's over there. So maybe minimizing one of the senses. And a lot of times visual can help. So moving behind a car or a bush where the dog can't see the trigger may be helpful. So these are the things that I wanted them to work on to help the dog become less sensitive and just basically deem those triggers eventually as not so important. So What I don't want you to do is shut the dog emotionally down, because what happens if you do that instead of working with them to work through the fear or the overexcitement of that thing is, you get a dog who won't give you any warning, right? Um, and that's even more scary because that's when a bite can happen, when least expected. So, oh, I think I forgot to introduce myself. So, my name is Linda Kwan. I'm the owner and trainer at Wow Bow Wow. And what I like to do is help the pet parents understand their dog so training becomes easier. I help the pet parents train and raise a well adjusted as well as a well behaved dog. So I hope this tip was helpful. And you know what? I want to show you a video of today. I took a video of my Jill, and she is a much more sensitive dog and gets triggered pretty easily. And so when I was videoing this one section, I didn't see her possible triggers. So as a person who knows whose dog gets triggered very easily, I'm very much aware of the environment. And so when I'm videoing, I wasn't paying attention. So this is what she does. And this is what I'm thinking, what the other people that I'm talking to on these calls are describing. Okay. So we're just walking along and she's like paying attention, like this, right? But what I didn't see is a trigger, which was there was a bunch of bushes, and then a kid ran across the sidewalk. And I didn't see that until it was too late. And this is what Jill does. And this is what I think a lot of you may be encountering with your dog, lunging and barking, right? And she does look back. She realized, what she did. But this is what I would rather. So this is another part of the evening. And she is just turning away. This is me without having to ask her to look back at me. There's a guy on the bench in the park, in a small park at the end of the street. And so she is, looking that way and looking back. And that's when I reward her. Sometimes she does give a little bark, but she looks back at me, so I will reward her for that. So this is where I want your dogs to get to. And like I mentioned, it's not, let me come back to me again. So, you have to be, as the human, very much aware of the environment, and then work with the dog at the right distance from the triggers to help them change their emotional, view on that particular trigger. And then also teaching them that the behavior you want instead is to check in with you, right? So I hope you found, if you haven't looked at it yet, my mini course on this, and I hope you find this additional video about dogs that may be overreactive to the triggers. I hope this is helpful too. All right. Thank you for joining me, and I will see you next Tuesday.